So rookies are one of my favorite topic to talk about when it comes to the NBA season. It probably stems from when I was still coaching. It was always my job to take the freshmen and kind of help develop them and build those early onset skills. And so I always have an interest in the development of young players. And a couple months ago I actually made a video. I think I even called it grading the NBA rookies way too early, and it was definitely way too early, but it was a fun thing to do and it got some views. So that's cool. But I wanted to look back at this now that we're about almost 60 games into this season and, give the rankings in a little bit different style, talk about how guys have developed, who's kind of stood out, and yeah, just take a look at all the rookies some more. So I decided to do this more in a tier list style now. Last time we kind of were watching film on each guy and doing stuff like that, but there's a lot of rookies to cover in this, and I figured this is an easier way to organize them. A shout out to whoever threw this little tier list together. All the guys you see in this NA column right here are guys that I just really don't have an opinion on. They don't play too many minutes, and one of them's Chet Holmgren because I want to talk about the guys where it's actually their first season. We all know Chet's great and everything. Like, you guys don't need to hear me talk about that, but these guys I just didn't really feel like discussing. If there's a guy that maybe I should be talking about, let me know, and maybe I'll do a video on him. But these 32, I think it's 32 guys, are guys that I felt comfortable enough talking about, or they were like first round picks or something, and so I feel like they should be graded because of that. But yeah, let's not waste any more time. Let's start talking about them. First one, Anthony Black for the Orlando Magic. Now, Anthony Black has kind of fallen out of the rotation for Orlando as of late. I don't know if he's like struggling with injuries or anything like that, but as you see, his minutes have just taken a pretty sharp decline. I mean, he was starting there for a little bit, and they were kind of trying to go this more like defensive route with things. Like, he did get a start again more recently, but not like a ton of minutes with everything. The scoring's been kind of up and down with Anthony Black. Nice defender, nice size and everything, but his actual like contribution maybe hasn't been like too high yet. So because of that, I'm gonna put it at a C. He's not like a negative on the team. He's not really a positive either. And it's very tough being a rookie point guard. So those are things I always try to keep perspective of. And just an FYI, we're kind of going to be giving very, very brief descriptions of each of these guys just because there are a lot of guys to cover. So obviously, let me know in the comments if you guys have more thoughts on any of these guys. Next one, Toumani Camara from the Portland Trailblazers. So I believe, was Camara undrafted? No, he was the 52nd overall pick. So we're going to be talking a bit of value for this one. For the 52nd pick, you took a 6'8", 220-pound wing, and, it's a nice frame. He's got a wide wingspan and everything. That's cool. And you know what? He's provided exactly what you really want to see out of a guy like that right now. He's playing good defense and playing with a lot of effort. The numbers don't necessarily say he's doing anything like that crazy, like efficiency-wise and everything like that, but, he's getting you 7 points and 5 rebounds, and he's hustling his ass off, man. Like, there are obviously some things that need to be improved and everything with guys like Camara, but for where he was picked, I mean, you give the pick at least, like, there's going to be a lot of guys that fall into B because of like how things are. Like, I'm giving it, give me a B for Camara because he's playing good minutes for them right now and everything, and it's a valued pick. So we got to give at least the pick a B for now. Camara himself is more of a C, but we'll give the pick a B. Next one, Bilal Coulibaly. You've probably heard people talk about him before. Very, very talented defensive already in the NBA. Very long, lengthy, young kid, right? He's been solid from three so far this year. He attacks closeouts really well. A lot of little things to like with him. The problem is there's such a lack of infrastructure in Washington that I feel like it's hindering his development a little bit because he seems like he's just picking up on things really quickly. And so I wish he was on a better team that could maybe develop him a little better. But for now, Coulibaly is where he is. Like, I'm giving the pick a B, and I'm not going to worry too much about like the order of these guys and everything either, but I'm giving the Coulibaly pick a B. Well, let's talk about a lesser known one now. Jalen Wilson from Brooklyn. So Jalen Wilson, I actually have his game log kind of here. Like, we see a lot of inactives, like did not plays and everything. And then, he started to get a little bit of burn at one point, and then some more inactives, DNPs, right? And he's a guy that's kind of showed up a little bit out of nowhere and has contributed to them in some capacity. I believe that's because he's a two-way player, and you'll have to forgive me. I don't watch a ton of Nets basketball this year. It's honestly hard for me to watch that team play right now. I'm not surprised they let the coach go and everything. It was, I don't know, it just felt like it was going in such a weird direction, but that's another video. But Wilson's coming and giving him good minutes when he's out there. Like, he's hustling, he's getting to his spots. Like, I always see him sprinting to the corner and everything, and people leave him open, and he's hitting his shot right now. Like, he's sitting over 50% from three on like one attempt a game. But hey, making the most of his moment and everything. And so for the pick and everything, like we're gonna give that like a C. He's not contributing to anything like as crazy as like Kamara is, but value pick. He's a rotational type player right now. All right, we can talk about Grady Dick a little bit. Someone I thought was actually going to be able to contribute a little bit more right out the bat because I kind of figured his role was going to be just, catch, shoot, maybe attack a closeout or two because he's decently athletic and everything. But he has struggled so far this year. Maybe that's because he has a very slight frame and he can't quite get around people. Like quickness isn't everything with that, and he's not electric like that. You've got to have a little bit of muscle too to get around some of these guys after they kind of get that first initial push off on defense, and so maybe that's part of the struggle. But he wasn't hitting a big amount of his threes this year. Well, it was pretty downright horrible to start the season. It's picked back up. I want to say he's at like 35% now. I don't have it right here. It's 35%. So it is going up, but you see some games where it's like 0 for 4, like 0 for 3, stuff like that. But I mean, hopefully it regresses more towards a normal mean, and Grady Dick can be a valuable shooter. But for the time being, like, he's been a pretty negative impact player on the team. So Grady Dick's probably going to be our first D. Ooh, let's talk some Keyonte George. And, Jazz will have another pick that they have to look at in a little bit. But, hey, a guy that they picked just outside the lottery and everything, or maybe he was lottery. I don't think he was. I think he was just outside the lottery. I can't remember. I can't keep all this stuff straight. But Keyonte George has come in and played like a very capable starting NBA point guard at times. Not making a ton of mistakes, which is pretty impressive for somebody that is a rookie point guard. That's one of the hardest things to do, is to come in and be a ball handler right away in the NBA. It's just hard. The game's moving a lot faster now, but he's held on to it pretty well. He's a pretty good shot maker. He has to create a lot of his own stuff a lot of the times, and he's doing a good enough job. Like, the efficiency's kind of here and there. The turnovers are a little bit high right now too and everything, but again, young guard and everything. For the 16th pick, you're getting a guy that can really contribute, and he's going and getting you double-digit points. You feel pretty good about that at the end of the day, and it's not horrible efficiency. Let's give Keyonte a nice B. I like it. Jordan Hawkins, absolute flamethrower of a player. He's the example of college basketball is not modern at all, and so sometimes guys don't get to completely show like what they could do in the NBA. When they're there. That's why I think you're going to see more people starting to pick like foreign guys and stuff like that, because it's a better representation of them translating to the league than like colleges even, which at one point would have seemed crazy, but I think that's going to prove to be true more often than not. And this year you're probably going to see a lot more foreign guys go for just that reason. But Jordan Hawkins has been an absolute flamethrower, and the Pelicans are so deep, like he doesn't even get to play that much always. But man, when he gets on the court, man, he's electric. Like, I'm honestly, like, I'm giving Jordan Hawkins an A pick right there, man. They got to find a way to keep him on the court more, because he can just light it up. Like, we could talk about defense or like turnovers or anything like that, but a dude's just scoring like that, you find a way to make it work, man. You just got to. Scoot Henderson. All right. Now, this is a guy that we gave a D pick last time, and at that point, yeah, he was playing pretty bad. Again, I'll say, and what you guys have heard me say about Scoot Henderson, young point guard, already a tough thing to do. The team isn't constructed well at all, so that doesn't help. He's got DeAndre Ayton clogging the paint and everything. Jeremy Grant likes to operate inside the paint too. There's not a lot of help going on. There's other guys on the team that want the ball a lot, in Brogdon, in Shaedon Sharpe, right, and Anthony Simons, who's going to take a lot of shots, and Scoot's not a great off-ball player yet, and so you do have to knock him for not being able to do that. But we are seeing a lot of improvement out of Scoot, like as of late. Like, he's shooting really well from three and everything. I know he's scoring like over a point per game in the pick and roll now, or a point per possession, I should say, in the pick and roll situation. So like, those are all good indicators and everything. Sometimes the passes are a little bit crazy still, but hey, Scoot's moving up for now. We're gonna put him in a C right now, and I still think there's a ton of potential here. I still love Scoot Henderson as a prospect, but still a while to go. But for now, he's moving on up. All right, Jazz fans, I told y'all we were going to talk about your other rookie, and here he is, Taylor Hendricks, taken with, I think, the 9th pick or something. Yeah, I think it was the 9th pick. Just hasn't played a ton, and it's not like there's really an injury to fall back on or anything. Like, there was a big like front court jam before. There was a lot of good front court players. Since Kelly Olynyk has left, he started to get a couple more minutes recently. He's had some semi-productive outings, some still not so good and everything, but at the end of the day, you take a guy with the 9th overall pick, you would think he'd be an easy insertion into your at least rotation, and he hasn't been. So for that alone, man, I gotta give that pick an F for now. Like, Again, doesn't mean he can't fix it and everything. Plenty of time to get better. That's why you get 4 years on your rookie deal, right? But for right now, he's been a pretty poor contributor to the team. Jalen Hood-Schifino next. So the Lakers pick like, he was picked between like 15 and 19. Maybe it was 17 even. Again, that doesn't matter. But pretty inefficient so far as a young guard. Again, always hard. It's a team that's trying to compete for a championship. He's battling against the best of them each and every day in practice, right? And so that alone is probably going to make him get better over time. But for the time being, his shot selection's been pretty poor. Like his navigation of the pick and rolls kind of like it just doesn't seem like he really sees the game well yet. Again, we'll say yet. It takes a while, but he's been pretty inefficient, hasn't been able to crack the rotation. And for a Lakers team who, got the 17th overall pick, you would think they'd be able to find somebody to slide in and help them out. So for Schifino, I'm going to have to give that one an F too. Back-to-back Fs. Oh, y'all, I feel like this video is going to get down or be a downer pretty quick here. Let's talk about Jett Howard a little bit. Was supposed to come in as a lengthy wing shooter that could put the ball on the floor a little bit. Believe the 11th pick in the draft by Orlando. Hasn't quite worked out. I remember when Orlando took Anthony Black and Jett Howard, I was like, wow, neither of those seem like the right pick for this team, and neither of them quite fit, but Jett Howard, like, he just doesn't even suit up some nights as the 11th pick. And so I think he's only played in like between 10 and 15 games even. So, and this is going to be a more common thing as we see young guys coming into the league from the US at least, like they're more skilled than ever, but they don't know how to play basketball. And that's, I think, what you're finding with some of these guys. Like, I know I saw something this year where they were like, hey, we've never seen so many like first round picks end up in the G League. It's because, yeah, they don't know what the hell they're doing. And like the G League is just an over glorified version of AAU anyway. Like, respect to all those dudes in there, but they're not learning how to play in the NBA down there either. So like they got to revamp the system a little bit, and teams need to care about that developmental league a little bit more. But for the time being, Jett Howard's another F, man. 11th pick and can't even suit up. That's ass. Trayce Jackson-Davis, someone that I don't want to say I've like hated on him on the channel. I just don't necessarily buy into the hype, but I want to give credit to, right? Like he's been someone that's been a contributor to this team so far this season. 57th overall pick. Yeah, you gotta give him some credit there. Like he's cracked the rotation and he's been relatively productive. Like it looks like his minutes have been dropping a little bit more as, Draymond Green gets more minutes at the 5 and stuff like that, right? But I mean, he still comes in and he has like a pretty positive impact overall, right? Like at least he's playing with energy and everything. So the fact that you were able to get a guy on the court with the 57th overall pick, like I feel like you got to give that at least a B, right? Like he can't do much outside of the paint and everything. He's not quite big enough to be a center in my opinion. Not like a huge explosive athlete, right? But like still getting it done. So give it a B. Andre Jackson Jr. basically came in at the start of the season as a second-round pick out of UConn, a guy that I actually like a lot as a prospect. Like, he just has the NBA build, right? And he was mostly just coming in to play defense for the Bucks and everything early to start the season. He was a very impactful player, and he's kind of lost the rotation spot, it seems like, since Doc Rivers came in, and obviously other guys have gotten healthy, like Jay Crowder's on the court more and stuff, which maybe they got to consider taking Jay Crowder off the court. I don't know. But Andre Jackson Jr., like, give him a little time to develop or something. I bet he kind of figures it out. For now, like, I'll give that a nice little C pick. G.G. Jackson Jr., someone we talk about on this channel a little more than average, we'll say. He was one of my favorite prospects coming out, and I told everybody, I'm like, this guy should be a lottery pick. If I had a top 10 pick, I'd pick this guy. Like, I think he was the youngest guy in the draft this year, if I'm not mistaken, and I just think he can do a little bit of everything. Like, his shot form, awesome. Super fast. Like, he's super athletic, right? He's very balanced when he plays. His handle needs to get a little bit better, but he's 18 years old and just probably turning 19. Like, there's room to grow with that, but like, there's so much to like about GG, and I'm kind of glad that he's getting a chance to shine with this depleted Memphis roster, because he's going to be a part of this team going forward. Like, you got to give that value pick for them an A. Jaime Jaquez Jr. now. Alrighty, so another guy just fit right into Heat culture, right? As soon as the Heat picked Jaime, I was like, yeah, no, that's going to work out well for them. I just feel it. And I mistakenly didn't cover Jaime in my first iteration of this. He wasn't completely on the scene yet, but now he is, and you have to give him a lot of credit for just the sense that, like, had to prove himself to get in the rotation, made the starting lineup. Now he's like out of the starting lineup, and they ask him to do a lot, and that's hard for a rookie, right? Given he's a little bit older of a rookie, but still, like, he's out there, he's contributing. He was in the dunk contest. That's awesome. The hair looks great. You have to comment on that, right? But no, he's productive in almost all area of the court. Like, he's just come in and been in a nice established NBA player already. So I think for that, you got to give the Heat an A, right? They knocked it out of the park as always. He might not be a star, but it's hard to find a star right there, right? And that should be what A means, right? It's like you got a ton for your value, right? So absolutely love it. Dereck Lively, a guy that we gave an A ranking to last year, and I'm not even going to waste your guys' time with this. Dereck Lively's an A. Just the fact that he was able to come in as a rookie and play with all these vets on this team that are trying to win right now, and he was able to become just the exact player that they need. Just a rim running, shot blocking, rebound grabbing big that has a ton of energy, plays ferocious on all ends of the court. You love to see guys like that. They're my favorite type of bigs and everything. And even with Daniel Gafford there, that's going to take up some minutes from him. Like, he's still going to be their starting center. It's just, that's how good he is right away. I think he has a very bright future, especially as long as he's playing next to Luka Doncic. It's just, it's a perfect fit. They get an A for that pick. Next up, the number 2 pick in the draft, Brandon Miller. And I'm bringing you guys to the game log here because it took a little bit for Brandon Miller to get going. He really struggled at like finishing at the rim and stuff and like just trying to find his place on the team. But one thing that's always been consistent, the 3-point shooting. His shot form is butter. And like it's showing now. I wanted to look at this most recent stretch of games that he was on, like just 20 points, sometimes high 20 points, 30 points. Most nights, right? It looks like it tailed off a little bit there into the All-Star break, and and happens. That's kind of a normal statistic trend for everybody. But man, has he been productive for this team, especially since Rozier left. He's just been hooping. I also want to give him credit too because the Charlotte Hornets, like this may not be a stat that you guys are familiar with, they're number 1 in isolation plays, like in the NBA. Like above Dallas even, which is just crazy. Like, because who's doing it, right? Like who are they ISOing with? And like, yes, like they've got players that can go and get some ISO buckets and stuff. But I've kind of said the whole year, I'm like, it's really hard to watch Charlotte because like dudes are just like standing there the whole time. And like these guys that are going and getting buckets, like Brandon Miller, he's making these shots. Like there's every once in a while I'll see him, like someone set a little pin down screen for him and he'll run off it and catch and shoot a 3. That's awesome. But a lot of the times he's having to do this shit himself. So a lot of credit to Brandon Miller, man. They get an A with that pick. I think he's going to be a really good player. I just hope the Charlotte Hornets don't ruin him. All right, next up, Leonard Miller from the Timberwolves. And now you guys might not be familiar with this name because he doesn't really get to like play, and he was the Timberwolves' earliest pick, so I decided to give it some credit. He was an early second-round pick, so I kind of feel like he should at least be like with the team more often than he's not, but he's mostly in the G League. A lot of Timberwolves fans will tell you they like him and stuff, that's great, right? He's a lengthy guy. He can put the ball on the floor a little bit, but I think he's a little slow. I think his shot form is awkward. Like, I don't think it's going to be a consistent shot form that he can maintain. He actually like kicks his feet like outwards. Like you're supposed to bring your feet like inwards because that's how you keep everything going up and straight. But I don't know. Like I just don't see him necessarily as like an NBA ready player right now. And so I kind of want to grade him as like a D for now. I feel like we could have done more with that pick. Next up, Chris Murray from the Portland Trailblazers. Obviously, his brother Keegan Murray, very nice player for Sacramento. Chris was a first-round pick for Portland, and he just hasn't really found his way onto the court yet, which is interesting because it's not a very talented roster. Like, he's played in 34 games. He's only getting you about 3 points. The efficiency's not great so far. He's mostly just been a catch and shoot 3-point shooter. And like I said, the efficiency isn't quite there. So that's kind of the only explanation I really have to give of him right now. I'm probably giving him a D pick for now. Not to say he can't get better and everything. There's always time, but he is a little bit older of a rookie than like some of these guys like a Scoot Henderson or like a Dereck Lively or something, right? And so just grading him on that. Ooh, Pods. Gotta love Pods here from Golden State. How would we describe Pods? He's an offensively positive player that brings some spark in playmaking and isn't like horrendous on defense. Like he's just kind of out there fitting into Golden State style, plays hard. Like all sounds great, right? Like we should take a look at some of his numbers specifically. 9.6 rebounds, 4 assists, only a turnover a game as a young guy, shooting 38% from 3. Like, man, you gotta love that. I'm not gonna lie, I scrutinized the Warriors for this pick and everything because I was like, I can't necessarily see this guy's game translating, but he somehow maintained his like methodical play style and kept it going. Like it's all effort and hard work, and he's not the most athletic dude in the world, but he's making it happen, man. So you got to give the Warriors an A for this pick. Absolutely love it. And I know what this chart is starting to look like and everything. And you know what? It's a solid draft class, man. So get over it. Craig Porter next for Cleveland, a guy that when Garland was down came in and took over some ball handling duties for the team. He had a little streak there where he was going on like some 20, 30 point scoring streaks and everything. So like, hey, credit to him. A lot of guys never get to do that in the NBA. I have a feeling that might have been kind of a lightning in the bottle moment, but he is a nice player and I wanted to bring it up. I don't know if he sticks around in the NBA or not, but we have to at least give the Cavs like C credit for taking a guy. I think he was undrafted. I have his stuff up here because I wanted to see his most recent games, but yeah, I don't think he was drafted. Regardless, had some nice moments this year. Very low pick, if not undrafted. Was able to contribute on NBA court for a little bit and keep the team afloat. You give him a C for that one, right? At the very least. Whether or not he sticks around, I don't know, but we'll give him that. Oliver Maxence Prosper, who was the Mavericks like other first round pick this year, actually a guy that I don't mind watching play and everything. It just hasn't quite come together for him yet. He's a lengthier wing, probably more of a 4 at heart, very gifted athletically, played a decent amount of time in college. So a little bit older of a guy. Who knows how much room there is for development on a team like Dallas where he's not going to get to have the ball as much. You know, it's not like his role as a Derek Lively, right, where he's just kind of roaming and doing other things. Like, can Prosper become a guy that can be a stretch wing for them at some point and play some defense? Hard to say. The shot form hasn't quite been there yet, so I'm probably giving that pick a D for now. Dwop Reith, I hope I'm saying it right. I believe it's Dwop, but he just got a big contract, not like a big contract, but he got a contract, like a full-time contract from Portland, undrafted dude that gets to come in, contributed as a two-way player. They're like, hey, this guy's been awesome for us in his time. We're going to give you a full NBA contract for the next couple of years and get some money. He has an incredible story of how he got to the league. You should look into it. Really awesome. But for what he does right now, like, ton of effort, rebounding, run, jump, and dunk guy. Like, he's got his like deficiencies, don't get me wrong. Like, he gets a little confused in pick and roll coverage and stuff. Offensively, he's got some trouble with his hands, but like there's room to grow, right? Like, he's worked this hard to get here. And so I'd be inclined to say that he's going to keep working hard to keep getting better, right? And so for that alone, like, I'll give him a nice C pick, like kind of in the same role as like Porter here, right? Like, dudes that are kind of coming out of nowhere and earning their role on the team. He makes more sense next to Scoot Henderson than DeAndre Ayton does. So, you know, let's see what happens. Marcus Sasser from Detroit now, kind of a guy that came a little bit out of nowhere. I don't remember exactly where he got picked. Yeah, okay, that's what I thought. End of the first round. And, you know, young point guard, right? Or young combo guard. I don't know what we want to call him exactly. But young guard in the NBA, hard to do. When you're on the Detroit Pistons, even harder to do, right? Because nobody knows what's going on and there's no floor spacing. Well, he has been some of the floor spacing. Like, his shooting has been very good this year, and he's had points. He's very inconsistent so far to start this season, but like every couple weeks or something like that, he goes off for 23, 25 points, right? He gets hot and he scores, and so there's stuff to like about that. There's something to develop there. Where he fits in with the whole Jaden Ivey, Cade Cunningham thing, hard to say. You'd like to think that Asar Thompson, while he's not primarily a ball handler, like eventually he'll probably get some sort of duties because he's a decent enough passer and he sees the game well. I'd like to think that's a skill they'll try to develop him on. But hey, a guy to keep it watch of in your back pocket and everything. We'll give that a nice C pick for now. Nick Smith Jr., I'll give a little credit because I thought that him and like McGowan's or whatever were kind of two dudes that I saw coming into the league. And I'm like, these dudes are kind of just like street hoopers that everyone loves their highlight tape and everything, but I don't think they're actually like good players. And I still think like Nick Smith Jr. has to learn the game completely. Like, I just don't think he's seeing the game well right now. I think he gets a little bit confused running the offense sometimes, and defensively he looks just flat out lost sometimes. But the dude can score. Like, he can go get some buckets, and like, he's going to get his chance with Charlotte, although with Trey Mann, they're now kind of starting to get his chance. I might have to do a video on Trey Mann soon. But we'll see where Nick Smith Jr. goes. I kind of want to give that just a C pick for now because it's more than where my expectations thought they were going to be for him. So I'm going to give him some credit there, at least. Like, he's adapted better to the NBA than I thought he would, but obviously a lot of room to grow. Young ball handling guard. Give him time. Let's talk Julian Strawther a little bit. I believe that, yeah, Strawther. Yeah, I don't know why I got confused with his name for a second. But anyway, a guy that was picked at the end of the first round for Denver, you know, that's the kind of picks they're going to get because they're a championship level team, right? And so it's, hey, where can we find guys to plug some holes? And he's done just that for them at times this year. He's been very up and down. I know he was inactive for a while. I can't remember if he was hurt or not. I think that's what happened, but he's had some decent scoring outputs this year as like another ball handler on the court and stuff, playing off of Jokic. It's been kind of interesting to watch. There's not a ton of analysis to make on him because he's a younger dude. Like, you could tell he's a little bit confused out there at times, but he's making it work. And Nuggets fans will tell you that they like him. So take that as you will and everything. I'm willing to give that a C pick as well because the expectations were not very high for him, and he's definitely exceeded whatever expectations he had going into the year. All right, we got two Thompson twins right here, so we can talk about both of them at once. That's kind of rude to do, but we can talk about them in the same, I guess, breath, at least. Amen Thompson obviously was hurt to start this year. He plays different than Ausar. Amen's a little bit more ball dominant than him, well, a lot more ball dominant. He's more of a point guard. Ausar likes to play the 3, at least right now. Maybe I would probably put him at like a 2. That isn't a great shooter. Both of them not very good shooters. Both of them have A+ basketball instincts and A+ athleticism, probably A++ athleticism. Like, it seems like every game, both of them have like 3 dunks off vert with like 3 people around them. It's crazy. But they have great handle, great vision, right? Like, they can finish really creatively on the rim. Like, some finishes I've just never even seen people try before. Some of the ways they spin the ball and use the glass off it, it's crazy. But Amen's been on more of a streak recently where he's getting his points and stuff. Like, I don't doubt that these guys are going to be good in the NBA. I worry about Ausar and like how the Pistons are using him. I was glad to see him in the starting lineup the other night. Don't know what the Pistons are doing with the roster right now. There's a lot of moving pieces, but really hope he stays there. These two are just such good basketball prospects in itself. Like, the athleticism, the creativity, the smarts is the biggest thing. They're just always in the right spot on the court. And I love that, honestly, because I wouldn't think that anybody out of an overtime elite league would be able to do something like that. So I'm going to give both of these dudes A's for now. Like, just going to be super dynamic players. If they ever figure out how to shoot a basketball, I put these guys in B. Do I want to put them in A? I do. I want to put them in A. No, they're not quite on these guys' levels. We're going to put them in B. Look at that. We can make adjustments. Now we're starting to have a little more curve to this. That looks a little more appropriate. But no, like, very, very good basketball players. I hope they get the chance to develop more. If they figure out how to shoot a basketball, which, again, it looks ugly right now, I know. But if they figure that out, it's over. They have it all then. Like, they literally have it all. Look at this as a Ben Simmons type thing. They can do it all. Like, defensively, elite. Playmaking, elite. Ball handling, elite. Finishing, elite. Like, they just can't shoot. So, give them time. It's going to come. Jarace Walker for Indiana, just flat out, again, lottery pick that doesn't really play. And it's not like Indiana has like a super deep roster or anything, right? Like, they're a good team, but not a great team. Like, he legit just like hasn't played very much. So for that alone, I'm just giving the pick an F. That is what it is. I'm sorry. Cason Wallace, we'll keep this one pretty simple because it's been pretty simple for him this year. He came in, they were like, oh, they took another point guard. They already have like Giddey and Shea and stuff like that. What are they doing taking Cason Wallace? And he has just been plugged in, been efficient the whole season, just done his job well. Like, nice backup point guard minutes, shooting well. He handles the ball well. He doesn't turn the ball over much. Like, he's just plugged in and been solid. Love it. I hope he gets the chance to keep on developing with this team and everything, and I like to think that they're probably going to value him there pretty strongly, but he's a part of this like 10-man core that they just have in OKC with all these nice young players, whether it's like Isaiah Joe or Lou Dort, right? Or obviously the star guys like J-Dub and Shea and Chet are more recognizable names, but guys like this, like, man, they're getting it done out there, man. He's an A pick. This list must have been in alphabetical order, but yeah, Wembanyama, he's Rookie of the Year category, right? He's on another level. It's just, he's a generational talent. There's not much else to say about it. You guys watch his highlights every night like I do. It's just, we're seeing things that we've never seen people do before, especially at this height. It's incredible. He's probably going to be the face of the NBA one day. Like, it seems stupid to say that. I mean, who knows, right? But like, from what we've seen in this early onset of his career is just unmatched. Shout out Victor Wembanyama. Cam Whitmore, an interesting one to kind of finish this off on. So my inside knowledge, my buddies within the draft process told me that the reason he fell is because people felt cognitively he wasn't quite ready to play basketball. They're like, yeah, he's super talented, but like, what's he going to do out there? And with Houston, man, he's been getting his buckets, man. I mean, look at this, 12 points a game, 40% from 3. He's getting rebounds. This is the statistic that we all have to look at, is the 0.5 assists a game. his tunnel vision is absolutely crazy. Like, I love his aggressiveness, and I love that he's like, I'm going to get a bucket right now. But like, there's sometimes in transition, he's got like a 3-on-1 or something, and he's like, no, I'm running full force into who's ever in front of me. I'm just jumping up and I'm trying to put it on their head or lay it off the glass or do something. I'm not passing the ball. He does not have any idea who's around him on his team. If anything, if you ask him, he's like, man, I'm 1-on-5 out there. But super talented scorer, great athleticism, great motor and everything. They keep him in check and keep him learning the game and everything. And hopefully, like, it's so hard to balance these things, right? Because you want him to be an attack mode type dude, right? But eventually he's got to be able to see the game as well, right? That's how he becomes a more complete player. But for at least his rookie year and everything, you just point those things out to him on film, but keep telling him, like, hey, keep attacking, keep doing you. If that's how you can contribute to the team right away, then great. I'm going to give that pick, I'm going to give it a B for now, because I don't think in like a playoff series you could necessarily play a Cam Whitmore right now. I think people would take complete advantage of him, but there's a lot of good things going on here. And there's the list, y'all. I mean, y'all let me know what you think. I'm sure this video will generate a ton of comments of people saying I'm wrong about things, which, I mean, I'm not necessarily right about anything, so you guys tell me why. I'm always happy to respond in the comments. I love talking about these things. Try to keep it respectful with everybody in the comments. I don't really care if you yell at me that much. Like, I'm probably just going to laugh at it or whatever, but I like to talk about it regardless. I love to hear people's thoughts on things, and just because I gave someone a bad grade here or a good grade here doesn't mean it's anything to say going forward, but this is where I see people right now, at least. And we'll do another video at the end of the year, I promise. But for the time being, this is what we think. Let me know your thoughts. Make sure you like, subscribe, comment. In the meantime, I'm going to go back to my day, but thanks so much for watching, y'all. We'll see y'all later.